Alright, welcome back to another crowdfunding weekly roundup here with the Krabby Dice. Let's take a look at the interesting projects ending this week. By the way, if you're new to the channel here, I'm going to go through the 3 to 5 most popular projects ending this week in terms of backers, go through the gameplay, the value, what I like, what I don't like, and if I helped you out at all, why not consider subscribing to my channel. Alright, so the first one here that we're going to take a look at, Mythic Battles Ragnarok, unfortunately did end a couple of hours ago, but no worries, this is going to open up for late pledging for sure in a couple of weeks. Don't worry about it. So I'm still going to talk about it, and you know what, if I can help you decide what you want to back, because I am a backer for this one. I put my money where my mouth is. All right, so this is brought to us by Monolith Games. They're no stranger to these gigantic, bombastic crowdfunding campaigns. So think Batman Chronicles Season 1 and 2. There was Conan, like 3 different Kickstarters for that game. And of course, Mythic Battles Pantheon, which is the sister game to Ragnarok. Now, because the games are so similar, Pantheon and Ragnarok, I didn't really think that Ragnarok needed its own dedicated video because there's not much to say. You already know what Monolith is going to deliver as a game in value, quality, rulebook, gameplay. It pretty much plays the exact same way. I'm going to cover some of the differences in the gameplay section at the end just to highlight what are the changes, but it is going to play pretty much the same way. It's just a ton more variety, and you sort of get gods from the Norse mythology instead of the Greek mythology type of thing. All right, another thing that we're going to see is the value change, well, future value, because we're going to see the prices if you wait till the next campaign or even next year's campaign with the Egypt theme, what the price of this project is probably going to be. All right, so let's go through it anyway, and I'll just give you my thoughts. All right. All right, so the first thing we're going to tackle is obviously the stretch goals and the value, because they sort of go hand in hand. If we're looking at the value, which is funny, because if you were going to look at just the core box when this project launched, I would have said it's horrible value because you don't get much in this core box at 120 bucks. All right, you get 4 gods, 5 heroes, even though there's 6 sculpts. I'm not sure why there's 2 here. Anyway, you get only 4 monsters. You get let's say a dozen troops, and that's it. You know, it's a kind of lackluster, but because it's Monolith and because there's a million stretch goals just like CMON, it just becomes incredible value at this point. I mean, you look at this core box, I think if you actually add up everything that they've unlocked, you're probably tripling the content of the base core box. You're getting, I think, 10 to 12 extra gods. You're getting an extra 9 to 11 heroes. You're getting an extra 13 monsters, I believe, if I counted correctly. You know, and the base box was 4. Now you're getting 13 more. So that's 17 in total. So you're just getting a lot of stuff, a lot more troops. I mean, everything else stays pretty much the same. All they've unlocked is basically more models. So you're still going to get only 2 map boards, but they're double-sided, which is good. The dashboards for all the characters, that's a lot of characters. The cards for those characters as well, the runes, the 3D elements, which is a nice add-on. I believe Pantheon had this as a stretch goal, but it's nice that they included this in the core box, and the dice and so on and so on. All right, so you know, if you're looking at 120 for the stretch goals and the core box, it's pretty outstanding. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is probably the best bang for your buck value wise in Kickstarter in 2021. I mean, somebody, don't get mad at me, write in the comments below if there's another game that's probably better value. I was thinking maybe Primal, but Primal you don't get a lot of models, but you get a lot of cards type of thing. But I don't want to rehash that that conversation. If we want to look at the stretch goals, I do like most of the models that got unlocked. Some of the highlights, I like the animals, the monsters that they got released. They look really nice. Like the you got the goats, the bobcats, you got the bear with the sleeping dude over here, this warthog that has an armored shell. You have that weird wolf thing with tentacles sticking out of it. This thing, I don't even know what this is. I'm gonna play with it for sure. It's like my favorite model. Another cool thing they have unlocked is the solo and co-op scenarios. Now they haven't released the details about this. I'm going out on a limb and I'm going to guess that it's going to play like a boss battler thing, Kingdom Death, where maybe there's a Titan and all the other players are trying to take down a Titan or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's how it is. I don't know. Some of the other ones are just a lot of heroes, a lot of troops, a lot of stuff. There's a squirrel. I mean, who doesn't want to play with a squirrel? That's amazing. And there you go. So there's a falcon, a dog who's missing some flesh, and so on and so on. So that's what you get for 120. Amazing value. That's why I'm backing it. I don't have any skirmish games in my collection. I was going to look for Pantheon, but you know what, this one's out now, so I'm going to jump in and get it. All right, so 120, not much to say. It's pretty good. Now, the other option you have is 135, which is the Pantheon core game and stretch goals. All right, so the reason I'm highlighting this is just because you can sort of see what the evolution of the price is going to be for this type of campaign going further, forward. Sorry, Pantheon originally was $99, then it was 120 at the 1.5 campaign, and now it's 135. So it's 100, 120, 135. So it's always jumping up by 15, 20 bucks every time. I have no doubt that if you wait for next year's campaign with the Greek theme, because it's going to come out next year, this one's going to be 135 for sure. So you are saving 15 bucks by jumping on now, type of thing. All right, so the other option you have is 240, which is the both core boxes and both stretch goals, which is incredible value. You're pretty much getting both games at 120, which is the 1.5 price of the Pantheon game. And there's a ton of content in here. This is probably the best bang for your buck if you just want content. All right. Now, the only reason I'm not backing this is just because it's just a lot of stuff and it's just a lot of models that I'm not going to play with. In my opinion, it's better to pick which gods you like more. If you like the Norse mythology more, get the Ragnarok game. If you like the Greek mythology more, get the Pantheon game. It's just a lot of stuff. Just go with what you like. You don't need both. That's just a lot of boxes. But if you do want to get value for your dollar, this 240 is pretty unbelievable. All right, let's just keep going. There's a 299, which is everything for Ragnarok. I mean, what I would say is the reason it's so high, it's because they're adding in all this extra garbage that I normally never suggest you ever get, like these dice trays, art book, sleeves. I mean, if you get just the core gameplay element, it's going to cost you $280. All right, all this stuff. So do you want to spend an extra 20 bucks for additional stuff? Yes, you're saving money, probably $30, $40 in the long run, but you're getting stuff that I would never get anyway. So you're actually spending more, type of thing, right? So your choice. I wouldn't get it. All right, you can go crazy and get the full Pantheon pledge here. I don't know why we're talking about this. It's the Ragnarok game. All right, or you can go full out bananas and get $800 and get everything Ragnarok and everything Pantheon. I would definitely suggest you don't do this unless you're a millionaire. $800 is quite a bit of money. It's just way too much content. This is going to take so much space on your shelves. It's unbelievable. One thing I did want to mention is if you are picking up the Pantheon stuff, that's why I'm also going to suggest you don't pick up a lot of the expansions, just because I'm going to show you a picture just to scare you. Looking at the stack in the middle here, this is if you got everything for Pantheon. This is going to take up 4 cubes on your Calyx shelf for one game. That's a lot of space that you're going to need in your house just for one game. All right, but if this is your lifestyle game, go for it. But for me, I mean, if you're looking at this large stack of games, the bottom 3 boxes here is already more than enough content for this game, and this is 120 bucks. So you get 3 massive boxes. All right, everything above it, it's going to cost you $350 to $450 in price, about depending on when you get it and all that stuff, for what's above here. So you're paying 3 times the cost of these bottom 3 boxes for all the boxes above. Sure, some of them are the nicer, larger models and stuff like that, but if you're just looking at content wise and what variety you have to play with whenever you're doing your draft, I mean, imagine drafting with all this stuff is going to be a nightmare trying to find the troops you're trying to find. But either way, in my opinion, the bottom 3 boxes are enough. All right, so that's it. So that's why core box is good. I mean, if you want to go look at the stretch goals, we'll spend 5 seconds going over them. There's dice trade. Never get a dice trade on Kickstarter. Way too much money. It's pointless. Oh, by the way, before I forget, there's the Ymir add-on here. This is $22. This is not included in the all-in pledge. Very important. So it's not going to be $300. It's going to be $322 if you want this model. That's just because this guy was offered in the Pantheon 1.5, so they didn't want to throw it into the all-in because you might already have this model. All right, so keep it in mind if you want this awesome looking model. He does look really nice. Well, then you're gonna have to spend an extra 22 bucks. All right, so there's the Asgard, the only big box expansion for this game. It's kind of a shame that my 2 favorite gods are in this box. I might have to get it. Right now I'm just getting the 120. I'm teetering whether I want this or not, but you're gonna get Odin and Heimdall. You get the Valkyrie and the Elk here, which are probably my 2 favorite models in the whole thing. I mean, it's really swaying me to get it, but either way. Also, Good note on Monolith Games. They really listened to the community here. They completely redid the Hemdall miniature. He was boring and ugly. Probably the ugliest miniature I've ever seen in the last 5 years. They completely revamped him hours before the end of this project, and he looks amazing now. So that's great for Monolith for listening to the community. All right. What else are you gonna get for 60 bucks? You can get one game map, which is double-sided, which is then all the stuff that comes with it. All right, so the value here at 60 bucks is not as good as obviously the base game value, where you're getting, dozens upon dozens upon dozens of mini, but that's status quo for all projects. Expansions always cost a lot more than the base game. All right, sort of the companies recouping their costs through expansions. And the other stuff are just more variety that you can throw in, and they're all 20 bucks. So you got the Ragnar Saga here, 5 extra heroes. The highlight here is this dude with a cow. I have no idea what that's about. Looks pretty cool though. You got Jormungand, I don't know how to pronounce it. This is probably the biggest miniature of the whole set. It's going to cost you 20 bucks to get it. What's funny about him, he's a 10-point model, probably the most I've seen in both games combined. A god is 6 points. This guy is 10 points, almost twice as many points as a god. That's incredible. There's Cert, 20 bucks, Nihog, 20 bucks, and that's about it for gameplay content. And the extra stuff you can get is additional dice set. I mean, this is a game where normally I would say never get dice sets, but this game you could get it because, you're usually rolling between 7 and 10 dice on all your attacks. So if you and your opponent have the same number of dice, then you don't have to share them. So that's pretty good. Sleeves, never get sleeves on Kickstarter, never get art book on Kickstarter, and nobody has the Conan game, so let's not even talk about this. All right, so there you go. So that's all I'm going to say about value. Let's look at the gameplay. All right, so for gameplay, actually, I forgot to mention at the start what kind of game this is. Well, it's a 1v1 skirmish game. All right, so you take your army, you face off against your buddy's army, they clash, you try to take down their god or get 4 of those Antholos or runes, and you're going to win the game. Type of thing, right? So there's different ways to play. There's a free-for-all, which is a bit wonky. There's 2v2, there's scenario play, different things. They've unlocked co-op and solo and all that stuff, but at its heart, it's really a skirmish game, 1v1, where you draft your team. All right, and that's what it is. I'm just going to highlight really the changes between this and Pantheon, in case you already know what Pantheon is. And all the changes, I would say, are amazing additions. And that's one reason why I'm definitely more interested in Ragnarok, besides being more interested in the theme, just because they fixed up some of the mechanisms. All right, first being, they introduced these Jarls. Now, what is a Jarl? You can use one recruitment point. So when you're doing your drafting, you get recruitment points. You can use one recruitment point to take a Jarl and attach it to your troop, and it gives your troop an extra ability, but it's going to cost you a point. This is really good because I played Pantheon a couple of times, and while you're drafting, at a certain point you get down to 1 or 2 points, and you don't want to draft another troop. This way you don't have to. You get a Jarl, you attach it, that'll make up for the points, you're ready to go. All right, so that's great. A second amazing addition is the troops start on the board right away. Again, with Pantheon, the troops were a little underpowered. It took a while to get them into the game and into the fray. Now, especially if you have bodyguard on them, put them on the field right away, protects your guys, move up the field. Fantastic addition. And the last minor change is the way rune cards work. So in the previous game, you use the card as an Art of War card, or you can heal your guy. In this one, use it as an Art of War card, or you add +1 dice to your rolls. Pretty simple. That's it. All right. Besides that, the games play pretty much identical. They cleaned up some of the rules when it comes to climbing and ascending and flight and certain other things, but pretty much the game's going to play identical. And there you go. There's Pantheon. Let me know what you think of the value, the gameplay, all that stuff. I am a backer. I'm tiering whether I'm just going to stay at 120 or if I'm going to go to 180 with the big box expansion. I don't think I'm gonna spend money for those other little things because I don't want to take up too much room in my my calyx just for one game. All right, and that's it. Let's go to the next one. All right, up next we have Sentinels of the Multiverse, the definitive edition. Oh boy, where to even start with this one? I'm just gonna come out and say it. Why is this even on Kickstarter? It doesn't make any sense why this campaign, I'm not going to say the game is on Kickstarter, why this campaign is on Kickstarter, because it's literally just get the game at 50 bucks and that's it. There's no stretch goals, there's no add-ons, there's nothing special going on, there's no special components, there's nothing extra you're getting. I can go out on a limb and say this is probably the same price you'll pay in retail. I have no idea why this is on Kickstarter. I mean, probably the only thing you won't get in Kickstarter is this foil pack, but I already know that this core game is probably going to be between 50 and 60 bucks. They can't make it more than 60 bucks more than Marvel Champions. All right, so you're going to spend as much on the campaign here than you will in retail type of thing. So why is it on Kickstarter? Who knows? All right, so let's talk about value. Again, fail. If I can wait till retail and get it for the same price, why would I get on Kickstarter? The worst part of this whole campaign is the second pledge level, which is $125. This is completely asinine in my opinion. I would have been embarrassed putting this on my campaign page if I was in charge of this campaign. You're asking people to spend $75 on sleeves. That's the only difference between these two pledge levels. I don't understand. Sure, you get 900 sleeves, but I can just go to my friendly game store that's not even getting online prices and spend 30 bucks on sleeves. You go online, you can probably get it for 20 bucks. Why should I spend $75, which is 2.5 times the price of the game, on damn sleeves? That's insane. All right, that's pretty much it for value. I mean, there's nothing else to say. If you want to talk about, let's just talk about one small thing that I just wanted to mention. I don't know why they would release this and piss off all those people that spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on that gigantic cube box with all the cards like a year ago or a year and a half ago, and now they release a definitive edition that makes that game completely obsolete because these two games are not compatible. Now, I would have forgave them if this was just an entry point and they were never going to release expansions. It's just a way of saying, get a taste of Sentinels, but if you want the whole thing, go get the other game and stuff like that. But they said in the fact that they're going to release all the other expansions in this new art form type of thing. So I can't really get behind this project. They didn't wait long enough. You know, if this was 5-10 years down the line, that would have been fine. But just after the heels of their gigantic box, kind of sucks for all those people that backed that box. All right. So let's go down. I mean, gameplay, you know, personally, I actually like the gameplay. I used to have this game. It's left my collection. Honestly, Marvel Champions kind of fired this game. It's a much deeper game. You have more decisions to make. This game, it's really, you get your deck and you just play with what you get. I mean, there's no deck building. There's no like making decisions on your resources and stuff like that. It's just you play the best card at that time for what's in your hand, and that's it. All right, but it's still fun. You're just trying to co-op, take down the big bad type of thing. All right, so some of the changes between this and the base edition, the art for one thing, a lot of people don't like the art. I was a fan, it was fine. So they're changing the art, the components, massive overhaul on these components. The original components were terrible, absolutely horrible, and they're adding these health life dials or whatever they're called. You're gonna get quite a bit of these because I think you need one per hero, you need one for the big bad, and you'll probably need a couple for the monsters that might come out here and there. And there you go. And you know, they're explaining why they're releasing a new edition. They're saying it's been 10 years, but it's been like 2 years since the big box. And here's the previous version that I had and the definitive edition. I'm gonna say though, if you don't get the sleeves, this box is pretty big. This new box is going to be 90% air, in my opinion, if you don't get the sleeves. They're getting it prepped for adding more expansions into that box. Here you can see some art differences, and there you go. So I don't know, again, why is this on Kickstarter? I'm going to call this a red light back. I would not back this at all. Wait till retail if you are interested in this game. That's it. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, next up we have Long Shot, the dice game, which is sort of a roll and write sort of version of Long Shot. And actually this game looks really good. It looks really fun. In my opinion, this might be a controversial statement. I think this game will completely replace Camel Up in my collection. I do have some minor gripes with Camel Up. It's still a fun game, but there's sometimes the downtime, the dead turns when you have to roll a die, the betting system is not great. And this game completely overhauls and fixes all those problems that I might have had with Camel Up. All right, so those are the things. I mean, how does the game play? I mean, it's a 20-minute game. It's sort of a filler. It plays out like you would expect. You get your dry erase board. When it's your turn, you roll the dice. Everyone gets to use the values of the dice, but the dice is going to tell you which horse is going to move, and then everyone's going to use those values on their board. So you're either going to buy a horse, bet on a horse, get a special ability, fill out the market section over here, trying to play tic-tac-toe and try to get bonuses over here, do markings on the horse cards over here, getting special abilities with the horse that you're buying, and so on and so on. So it looks really, really fun. If you want to talk about value, I mean, the value is not bad. The problem, I'm not backing it because it's not great. Okay. For one thing, it's $25. Um, you can get the bundle with Roland, right? But I'm not going to talk about that. So $25. The problem is, if this comes to retail, I mean, every single Roland ride that's ever been on retail ever has been less than 30 bucks. So you already know it's going to be less than this price going in. So keep that in mind. So what are you going to get in the box? You're going to get the 8-player boards, the track, the horses, which are chunky wooden pieces, the 24 horse cards, the dry erase marker solo board, an extra set of cards, so on and so on and so on. I mean, the only stretch goals and the Kickstarter exclusive stuff, actually, oddly enough, it doesn't say that these horses are Kickstarter exclusive. Actually, I'm not even sure. All right, either way, what are you going to get? You're going to get an extra 2 sets of these horses because there are 8, so an extra 2 sets. You get 16. You're going to get the markers, the finish line standee. This is completely pointless. They haven't even unlocked the track events yet, and I don't think that's going to be exclusive either. And you get this fancy eraser. So you know what? I'm personally fine waiting till retail. I mean, you can jump in and get it just if you're a completionist and you want the extra sets of things. This is set 4 and set, yeah, okay, so you are going to get one exclusive set for sure. All right, and there's a set 4 and a set 5, but these two are not exclusive, I don't think anyway, so you might be able to get it later on as an expansion or so on and so on. So in total, you're getting one set of horses, one finish line standee, and a couple of additional markers type of thing. It's not blowing my socks off. I would call this a yellow back for sure, yellow light. The gameplay looks really fun. Just the value is just not there. If you want to spend some money, go for it. All right, that's what I'm going to say about Long Shot, the dice game. All right, let's go to the last game for today. All right, and the last game for today is Auztralia, the big box with 2 expansions, one called Revenge of the Old Ones and one called Tasmania. What is that? All right, so Auztralia. Let's talk about Auztralia by Martin Wallace. All right, let's talk about gameplay first, because honestly, it feels like I'm in Bizarro world when we bring up this game, because I don't know if I'm the only one on the planet, but I absolutely hated this game. I know it's an objective, not all games for all people. I'm a bit puzzled why people like this game. I'm not gonna go too much detail. I did play this a long time ago when it came out, so I don't remember all the specifics. I remember the battling was completely garbage with this push your luck thing. It was completely random how the monsters were going to move, and it can completely target you. I remember I lost like horribly because the monsters kept attacking me and never went towards the other guy, and it was just completely random, and the monsters actually almost killed me in the game just based on random luck of which cards are getting flipped over. Anyway, just some weird mechanisms, and it left some really bad taste in my mouth type of thing. But either way, you might be a gigantic fan, so here's your chance to get 2 expansions for it, all right, and a big box. All right, so this is if you want to talk about gameplay here, you're basically using the Glenmore / patchwork mechanism of time, which I actually really do like. It's probably one of my favorite mechanisms, where you're doing actions but they cost time as a resource, and it's always the person in last place who's doing their action, and so on and so on. Eventually the old one is going to wake up and they're going to do actions as well by flipping over dice, type of thing. And you're doing sort of an action selection thing on your own board. So you have your own little personal board. You're using cubes to signify what actions you're doing. You're laying tracks. You're building farms, which is just getting points. You're getting troops, which are just tiles that you're laying on your board, type of thing. Gathering resources on the board and attacking people on the board, type of thing. Very simple. All right, so if you want to talk about value, there's 2 pledge levels. There's the $60 pledge level here with the big box and both expansions, because obviously if you already have the old game, you don't want to pay for it again. So they give you that option. And then there's the $100 pledge, which is everything, including the base game. All right, so what do you get for 60 bucks? You're going to get a huge box to hold everything in with the plastic insert. You're going to get both expansions. I mean, the first expansion here, which is the Revenge of the Old Ones, I actually forgot to mention what this does during the gameplay section. This one allows one player to play the old one, so it's a 1 versus many game. I don't know why anyone would want to play this expansion, but it's there if you want to play with it. And inside this expansion, you're basically getting 60 cards and 1 punch board worth of tokens. Not a lot of content. You get more content in the other expansion, which is just an extra map. Double-sided though, but it is an extra map. It looks like the backside of one of the maps. You can sort of build it out yourself using these tiles, which is a nice touch, right? You can build it out according to how you like to play. So this is nice. You're gonna get one map, 66 tiles. I'm assuming that's 2 or 3 different punchboard punchboard sheets. I mean, still not great. If you add up both expansions together plus the big box, is it worth 60 bucks? In my opinion, not really. I wish it was a bit less. 60 bucks seems a little high. I would say this is a yellow back, not fantastic, blows your socks off, but you know what, if you really like this game, it might be worth it. All right, plus if this comes to retail, even Stronghold, who overprices all their stuff like crazy, will probably sell both of these expansions at 30 bucks each, and the big box at 30 bucks, so they'll probably charge 90 bucks in retail. So you know, you can definitely get it here and save a bit of money. All right, the other option you have is spend an extra $40 and get the base game. Now, if you look at it as a whole, that's still not a great value, because you know, even though you're getting the base game at $40, which might sound great, the base game sort of had garbage quality from what I remember. There was just a lot of punch board and not a lot of other components, nothing special like metal anything or a double dual layer board. I mean, this is Kickstarter. You're spending $100 on this and you're not getting anything special. I mean, like, I don't know, pick a random game. Suburbia big box was $100 and you got a lot of stuff in there and a lot of cool random wood and metal stuff. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Nothing in this page knocks my socks off. The gameplay was not for me. I mean, it might be for you, but there you go. So those are my thoughts on Auztralia. Back it if you like it, and that's it. So there's the 4 games for today. That's all I'm going to cover because it's been too long already. So we got a green back, which I backed, a couple of yellows, and a red back. So there you go. So let me know your thoughts below. We'll see you on the next one. Later.